Cool. So welcome to episode 5 of the Pedal Pod with me, Gareth.
And me, Rebecca. And today's episode is going to be really interesting for anyone who rides mountain bikes and wants to stay riding longer and not get injured, which is really all of us, isn't it?
I'd say so.
Yeah.
So with that, welcome to Adrian from Rise MTB Performance, the man who's going to fix you if you're broken, or hopefully keep us unfixed, should we say, i.e. being able to ride our bikes at all times. So welcome, Adrian.
Thank you very much for inviting me here.
So firstly, tell us, how did you get into mountain bikes? What hooked you on mountain bikes? And then, what came first? Was it Rise Mountain Bike Performance, or was it you getting into mountain biking?
Ooh. So, I think I've been riding since I was a little kid, a little nipper. And I've actually got a video of me in my front garden riding on 2 wheels for the very first time. And so exciting. And so as a kid, we always had bikes. We had a shed full of bikes. And I show my age a little bit here, but we had, I always remember having like the Boxer, the Grifter, and all the rally bikes. And
so all the cool ones.
Yeah.
Did you have a burner as well? Did you have a rally burner? No, never got as far as the rally burner.
The want for one is still there.
So amazing.
Yeah, but no, I never had one, unfortunately. And actually, I did get into BMX when I was like in my early 20s, but I was terrible, man. Like awful. So that phase disappeared. But we used to go to jams quite a lot, and I think it's just kind of progressed from there. And I stopped riding completely for quite a while. And it was actually, I was unwell, very unwell, and I was in the hospital. And I remember looking out the window, seeing Cleve Hill, Cleve Hill in Cheltenham.
Yeah.
And I made a promise to myself that the second I get out of here, I'm buying a mountain bike. And it's exactly what I did. I went to Williams in Cheltenham and I bought, I think it was a Specialized stunt jumper or rock hopper. I bought both anyway, but one came first. And that's where it started. And then one of the guys in the gym was like, "You've got to come down to Lecky with us." And I was terrified. I'm like, nah, no, it's not happening. But eventually one day I was like, yeah, let's do it. Why not? So went up to Cleve, and then it happened. It was this, you must have felt it when there's that switch clicks and you're like, what is this magic? And it was amazing. And ever since then, it's just happened.
So about what year was that? Can you think back out? I mean, without showing your age off, it was 1972.
Oh, okay. Well, I was 28 then. I don't know. It was probably about 11 years ago, maybe 12 years ago. 11
or 12 years, yeah. So we're talking kind of 2014, something like that, around that kind of era.
Yeah.
So actually, bikes were actually quite decent then as well. So
they were all right.
You weren't buying something like most of us, which was fully rigid, kind of no dropper seat post, anything like that.
Oh no, there was no dropper, nothing like that. No. It was very basic, but the smiles were just it was amazing.
Yeah. And where do you hail from originally, Adrian?
Gloucester.
You're a Gloucester boy.
Or was it called
bit of cheese rolling for you?
Actually, I grew up at the bottom of the cheese roll. So there's a little hill there, Castle Hill. That's where I grew up as a kid. So, and this is the weird thing. I used to see it every single year and never, ever went. I've never been.
Oh, really?
Surely it's a great source of new clients.
Yeah, they're super crumpled by the time they get to the bottom.
I can imagine. I've always seen it and looked at it and gone, oh my God, that looks absolutely nuts. Again, like never having partaken in a bit of cheese rolling.
But it's just downhill without the bike, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Where's the fun in that? So go back to in terms of Rise then. So where did... what was your career up until that point, and where did Rise spring from, so to speak?
So I've been doing this for probably like 26 years now, something like that. And I always wanted to specialize in something, and I could never find what it was, and I tried many different things. But then after I got into mountain biking, I was like, this could be something here.
Because we're all broken all the time.
Yeah, exactly. And so it kind of, the idea was born, and and so just started to plan around that, and eventually started to attract a few riders in. And I don't know, I just found it much more exciting to work on something like that. You know, it was, and so that just drove me even more. To get down that route.
And when did you then relocate to the Forest of Dean? So when did it kind of like, I suppose, Rise MTB Performance, Forest of Dean kind of open up?
So I moved here, that was probably about 10 years ago, I think, maybe. About 10 years. And yeah, I wanted to do something specifically with working with mountain bikers, and that's when Rise occurred. But yeah, it's just the perfect place to run a business like this. In fact, actually, my teacher once said, when he's seen some of the clients that I've been working with, he's like, you should start a business here. Like, done that. It's done.
It's done.
Yeah.
So to get up to that point, where did you where did you start from in terms of your career? In terms of, you said you wanted to really specialize.
Yeah.
And obviously, the output or the end was Rise MTB Performance as we know it today. But where did that kind of like career start from? In terms of, you said you were in here for 25, 26 years.
Yeah.
So where did you initially kind of start out?
So I was pursuing a very different career path. And to be honest, I found it quite shallow, and I wanted something.
Go on, what were you doing? Come on, we want the juicy
A
gossip.
string of really bad jobs, but I really wanted to be a drummer in a band. That was honestly what I was.
We'll do a little pitch. Come on, what's the name of the band that you're playing right now?
Stamping ground.
Stamping Ground.
Oh, there we go.
How would you describe the music, Adrian?
Ugly.
Brilliant. Brilliant. There you are. So go and have a little listen for a bit of Stamping Ground.
Yeah.
Go find them on YouTube or whatever platform you listen to your music on.
All sorts. But yeah, I just it didn't sit with me. I found it quite vacuous almost to a level, and I needed something more. I actually got injured, and that's where it started. I had a knee injury, which ended up having surgery for, and I went to a physio, quite a generic physio, and it was good, but it didn't quite get me to where I wanted to be. So I took it upon myself to go find someone more specialized, and I went privately and found a specialist physio who dealt with sports injuries.
Yeah.
And I was like, I want to do what you do. It was so good. Incidentally, I actually have been back and I've met her probably, I think it was about 8 years ago. And I told her, and she was like, oh my goodness gracious me. I was like, thank you so much.
Hey, do you want to give her a name check?
Yeah.
Give her a name check.
Regina, her name was, from Cotswold Physiotherapy.
Fantastic.
I don't know if she still works there now. But,
Yeah.
but yeah, and so that kind of got me down that line. But I didn't want to go to uni. I just studied all my own stuff, and I've paid through the nose for it. But it's paid off for me.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and it's just progressed. It's just developed from there.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. And so you said now kind of fast tracking, you kind of relocated to the Forest about 10 years ago. And is that when Rise, as we know it now, first started, or was there a little bit of a journey to get to that point?
No. No, that's kind of when it started, really. And no, actually, no, there was a journey. I tell a lie, there was a journey. So in my previous business, we started running retreats. So like coaching and like exercise, nutrition, skills, that kind of stuff. And I remember birthing that idea again on Cleve Hill, weirdly enough. Maybe I need to go back. It's a magic source of ideas and creativity.
Cleve Hill, on a solstice evening or something.
Yeah. But that's kind of where the idea really became congruent. And so it started from there, but under a different name. And then I really wanted to just like target and specify, with mountain bikers. And so that's where Rise started.
And for those kind of first-time listeners, or those people listening today, kind of summarize what Rise now does in terms of the kind of the breadth of the things that you cover, and where you kind of have really kind of specialized.
So I put crumpled riders back together. So when you come off, if you get injured, I basically specialize in injury rehabilitation and clinical exercise. So I was saying to Jack a second ago, that when people get injured, most of the time it's taking them to a point where I feel pretty good actually. Yeah, bye then. And then they just carry on their way. But I like to take it further than that and then target the rehab into strength training, etc., more specific to mountain biking.
Yeah. And do you do some preventative work then as well? Because in terms of trying to, I suppose, keep us fit and healthy, as we kind of touched on right at the start, as well as that kind of rehabilitation.
Prehabilitation.
Rehabilitation. Look at that. Yeah.
And I'm not even on Cleve Hill in there. So definitely like do prehabilitation. Most people that go through an injury and they come in, we deal with the injury, but you quite often see other stuff happening. And so we kind of unwind all that stuff. I'll be honest with you, in 26 years, I've never seen anyone without a dysfunction or an imbalance or an injury yet. I've never met that unicorn client who has, is perfect, because unicorns don't exist and neither do those clients. So
perfect physical specimen.
Exactly.
This probably says a lot about your clients.
Honestly, everyone, and I say this is quite a bold statement, but I think everyone has a level of injury or dysfunction at some level. Maybe it's something they don't recognize, but it's always there, there.
And does that come from kind of like repetition or the kind of, I suppose, the pastime you pursue in terms of, because you said you've never met someone without some form of nickel. So kind of like, what do you think kind of like you said causes that? Or was it just our inability to look after our own bodies properly?
Yeah, I mean, it can be from repetition. So like if you're doing a bad exercise plan, then that's definitely something that can, and I've seen that before. Even just the repetition of work, the repetition of a specific sport. So mountain biking has its, you see this in sport. You see boxers that are quite rounded like this. You see swimmers who've got quite sway in their hips. Mountain bikers tend to be rounded here, and because of that position.
Gareth and I just went,
I'll sit up nice and straight for the camera right now.
Pretty good posture here.
Yes. No. Now we're going to be watching that all night. Hi guys.
So yeah, I mean, there can be so many things. I mean, like even down to this is going to go a little bit deep here, but even down to mental, emotional states can have a big impact on that too.
Yeah,
I've seen people with like really bad posture, and it's all because of a mental, emotional state.
Okay. No, I think where I started from the question in my mind then was I know obviously cycling, like for probably most people at their work desk every day, you're sitting in a fixed position all the time, aren't you?
Yeah.
And actually that probably must, shorten kind of ligaments, tendons, muscles because of the way that we use them. And mountain biking is probably quite kind of, or cycling in general is probably quite kind of, known for that, I guess, because of the position that we sit in on the bike.
Absolutely.
As much as there's much benefits, it's non-weight bearing. It's quite, so actually it's easy on the body in lots of ways, but actually probably hard on the body in other ways.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy on the body in many ways, like you said, but if you're pedaling, it's a lot of volume. It's a lot of work. There's a thing called the SAID principle, which is basically a specific adaptation to imposed demands.
Yeah.
And so when you're cycling, there are certain muscles you're going to use a lot of, and they will get stronger. And unless you're not balancing that out, they'll just change posture. They'll put you into a really not beneficial.
What's the most common mistake then you see that people do on the bikes when they're training? Because you were saying about you get that imbalance. Do you see people going, I'm going to hit the gym and work on my arms because my legs are sorted on the bike, and then it doesn't quite work?
You have a very good question there. I would say, what is the most common thing? Probably overtraining. I think sometimes, overtraining is probably the most common. I see a lot of mistakes, a lot of errors, but definitely. I mean, I say this only last week. I had a client on a video call, and actually said about her program, stop. Just don't do it. I don't want you to go to the gym at all, because it was the wrong thing for her to do. Absolutely the wrong thing for her to do, which is a bit weird. That's like not helping me with business, is it?
Yeah.
But for the long term of that client, that's exactly what she needed to do. She was incredibly stressed, and then adding more, because going to the gym is a stress, make no mistake. But adding more stress to an already stressed body just makes no sense to me. That's crazy.
Yeah, they did. And I'm guessing that you probably, from a mountain bike perspective as well, did deal with a fair amount of injuries alongside that.
A lot.
In terms of, obviously, yes, there's can be the overuse injury, as we kind of just alluded to there, but obviously also, mountain biking is potentially a high impact sport, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, what are the kind of like the most common things people you get knocking on the door for?
Can you move your car? I know most people come knocking the door because they've got like clavicle breaks. Like clavicular breaks are just all the time.
And the clavicle is for the uneducated.
Oh, the collarbone.
Sorry, I knew that, but I was like, again, thinking about our poor listeners here.
And the acromioclavicular joint separations, that's really common. Knee ligaments like ACL. Quite a lot of back pain. A lot of back pain clients. I see that like every single week, not day actually, but I think it's the most common thing.
So in terms of now kind of the things that we as cyclists can do to be able to, because I guess what people would want to know is, how can I keep myself fit and healthy? And, knowing obviously some of the postural things that and the kind of, not the impact related injuries, but the kind of perhaps the overuse injuries and the other things that you see. What are the kind of key pieces that we can do better as cyclists or mountain bikers to be able to look after our bodies and help stay injury free?
Okay. So I would say, I generally tend to work on like a few foundational principles. So I'll look at things like, are you hydrating well? Are you eating correctly? Are you breathing well? Are you sleeping good? And these are all quite basic things, like really basic things, but they have the biggest impact on your health. They have the biggest impact on your performance. And also, like we were saying about prehabilitation, if those things aren't in place, you're more likely to get an injury. You really are. I think that's quite a given, really. But also, if you do, it's how you heal, how fast you heal afterwards. That's the big thing. So so those things there, really. Posture is an absolute big one. The mind is probably the biggest thing. Honestly. Okay. I think that's like so underrated, but just so enormous.
We know that as mountain bikers, though. Yeah. You get to the top of a feature and you're like, can I do this? Can I not? Like the mental game for mountain bikers is huge. So I imagine when it comes to injury and then you're getting back on a bike and you're trying to heal yourself, that's such a thing that you've got to get through.
Absolutely. I mean, like when you get to a feature and you're looking at it, you're like, oh my God, this is like Red Bull. And then you actually do it and it's like, oh, this is the curb outside my house.
Yeah.
That's how perspective can change on things. But I get people come in and I even had this last week where someone basically broke down because they had an injury, they couldn't ride their bike. And you're not just dealing with the physical aspect here, you're dealing with the mental, emotional aspect. And if you don't deal with that, you're not going to get that person healed to where they need to be. Confidence is the hardest thing to get back.
Yeah, I guess for a lot of us, myself included, mountain biking is like it's an outlet, isn't it? It's a stress reliever.
Absolutely.
As much as it is about kind of like the fitness or the adrenaline rush you get running down the trail. A lot of the time, it's actually escape from work, be able to give yourself some mental space to be able to to cope with all the stresses that life has thrown at you. So,
and it's a social side too. I mean, if you can't ride, you're not with your tribe anymore, and that can feel very isolated, and that can be quite a dark place, So, harsh.
So, how do mentally then? So, what kind of things would you work on with the client mentally?
So, it's a good question. I quite often will sometimes go specific, onto like dealing what the issue is, and I think it's more about packaging it and seeing like what happened, what did you do wrong, what could have gone wrong, what could you've done differently, and just making them see how they can change that. But honestly, just like I said, those foundational principles, if you can start working on those things, you can actually start to reduce your level of not anxiety, everyone has that, but like your level of stress. And the lower the level of stress, the more you have capacity for adaptation. And when you have that, you can deal with a lot more.
Yeah.
So, I think it's not just like a one direction, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You have to look at everything.
So it's like a holistic package rather than just purely looking at the muscular and skeletal system. It's actually,
absolutely.
You know, it's the whole approach rather than one or two units. Because you imagine normally when you go to a physio, don't you? I'd never think about going to the physio and that talks about how you feeling today. Not so good actually.
I don't want to be injured.
Do you know what I mean? No, I've had rehabilitation work recently, and again, that's never been one of the questions. So it's really interesting to hear about the approach and the more holistic way of dealing with it, rather than just dealing with the muscular or skeletal issue that you're seeing with the client there and then.
I think you can't leave any of those points out. You have to address every single one because they all filter into each other. They all affect each other. I mean, if I said to you, I'm going to get you to not hydrate at all for a week. I'm going to get you to drink tons and tons of coffee, eat a crap diet, and basically go to bed at 2:00 in the morning after watching the news. How are you going to feel? You're going to feel terrible. Yeah. So how you feel is going to amplify you not recovering very well from an injury. So that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it does. It does. Because actually, so sometimes people forget those real basics, don't they? It's like,
absolutely.
I'm sure you're having these conversations sometimes with your kids too about, no, sleep is really important. And they're like, nah, but look, I can do 6 hours sleep and still be ready for college the next day.
But, I've worked with World Cup riders before, and it's the same thing. These guys look after their sleep, they look after their diet, they look after how they hydrate, they focus on how they think.
Yeah.
All of those things are so important, and they go into it like in real detail. And when I work with clients like that, I go into it in really big detail. But, the average guy riding maybe doesn't consider that as quite a big deal. But if you employed some of those things, just, getting to bed early, hydrating better, keeping a clean diet, those things can make a massive difference to your health, guaranteed, which also makes a massive difference to your performance as well, guaranteed.
Yeah, cool.
I like this. It's not about how many push-ups you can do at home or squats. It's about actually taking care of yourself.
Life's always a competition.
I don't think I'm winning any push-up competitions anytime soon.
Your body can only get as strong as its the quality of your tissue, I guess. If you have poor quality tissue because of a crap diet, am I allowed to say that?
Yeah,
okay. Yeah, of course. Yeah. This is an adult podcast. So you can say what you like.
Oh, right, let's go for it. It doesn't matter how much you train yourself. If the foundation of what you're made of, the tissue that you're made of, is not good quality and not strong, and your posture is aberrant, then it makes no difference. No difference.
Every time you say posture, I keep saying a little bit.
I know. This is why I keep saying it, because it's quite fun. Posture.
I bet everyone at home's doing the same as well.
Same thing, set it up. Well, they might be if they're laughing at us on YouTube when they're watching it back.
Probably.
Every couple of seconds they start straightening it up.
Let's have some fun.
Yeah. So I've got to ask you, I don't know how much you can divulge, but which client are you most proud of? Because obviously you've dealt with some really big injuries.
Yeah.
So which one do you feel like, wow, to rehabilitate that rider, what a journey, but it was amazing.
Oh, wow. Obviously I can't name names.
No, of course not.
I
suppose if they're testimonials.
Hi Sam, if you're listening. If you're not, why are you not?
Then, I mean, I take my hat off to Sam. He did amazing. And look at him now.
Yeah. No.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Look, this is going to sound like a real cheesy thing, right? But genuinely, it is every client. This is going to sound cheesy. The buzz I get when a client comes in and says, "This is amazing. I feel so much better." Just how much they look different, how much they present themselves differently, their energy, the fact that they can move. I wish I could bank that.
Yeah.
I really, really could. And so, every single client that comes in and puts in the work and trusts the process, whether they're elite, whether they're a newbie, it's every single one.
Massive. Cool. One of the ones I wanted to touch on a little bit actually was the, I suppose, the benefits of strength training. Can strength training actually help prevent injuries? And I'm not saying this now necessarily from it helps us keep us fit, fitter and stronger and that kind of stuff. So there's the obvious parts, we strength train and actually that then, we're in better overall physical health. But actually from perhaps an impact protection and from an ability to be able to deal with crashes and to be able to deal with some of the strains that perhaps mountain biking puts on your body that other sports may not. I mean, rugby is another great example. And I remember reading something recently about it that a lot of it is around actually they feel they can take bigger impacts and they can take they can actually take the hits more if they've trained in the right kind of way, done the right kind of strength training. I was wondering whether you kind of like buy into that philosophy. Is that something which you would advocate to people as well?
Yes. Yeah. Definitely.
Okay. Well, explain and wrap it for us, because again, not everyone, and myself included, really understands how that kind of works.
Okay. So, like I said to you about the SAID principle, like your body will adapt to the demands imposed. If you start strength training, your hypertrophy, so it means you get more muscle mass, ligaments get stronger, tendons get stronger. The bones become more dense, and so they can take more impact. Yeah, and so absolutely, I think strength training is key. I think it's critical. If you want to ride a good level, you really should be doing some strength training. And with regards to can it prevent injuries, I would definitely put my money on yes, it can. It can. But
well, there's always
there's a great side to this.
Yeah.
So if you have like poor posture,
Look at Rebecca again here. Slouch. Sit up.
I'm a real stickler for posture and for form. I really am. I mean, there's no such thing as perfect posture, by the way. But there's no such thing as perfect posture. But anytime someone comes in to see me and they want to do like really go down the rabbit warren, I'll always do a postural assessment. I have to. I have to see what's out of balance. So, for example, if you've got your joint is in a really good position, you're going to get a full range of motion, and it's going to be optimal. Right. Which means that the nervous system will put all the force or the impulse through for the muscles to actually activate correctly. Yeah. Okay. When a joint becomes, so for example, let's use the shoulder joint. Okay, so you see this quite a lot, don't you? You see people hunch over. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So people hunch over like quite a bit, and so the shoulder can come forward out of the joint here and become slightly unstable. If that's the case, your nervous system is not going to put that much force through it. It's not going to allow the muscles to put that much force through because it's an unstable joint. Yeah. So yes, you can train and you can strengthen that, but you have to correct that. If you just strengthen it, you're just going to strengthen it in that position. Yeah. So any impact, if the ligaments on the front are more stretched, you'll injure those straight away. Right. So that's the only gray area where I would say maybe it doesn't.
So what you're saying is they need to come talk to you to put together a training plan.
Exactly.
Yes. Just out of interest as well, should men and women have different strength training plans?
Yeah.
Yes, there we go.
I would say so. I mean, yeah, definitely. I mean, so you have to take into consideration things like the female hormonal cycle. So that's going to change. So when in the female cycle, they can be quite unstable. So you wouldn't want to start doing stability training in those periods, for example, where a guy it's like just plow through,
steady month long.
Yeah, but there's also biomechanically women are slightly different to men, so you have to take that into consideration as well. So yeah, there's definitely points you would change and things you wouldn't, but by and large, it's going to be pretty much the same. Maybe the weights can be. I say this, man. I mean, I've had women in that are so strong, and I'm like, wow, like I don't think I could lift that. So. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, with regards to weight, maybe not.
Yeah. And, there's certain ages where the strength training is more beneficial. And that, again, may vary dependent on the sex, I'm guessing.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know a great deal about things like perimenopause, but that's a good time to want to be training then, to do some strength training.
That's what I was thinking from actually. Is like, so that obviously there's a osteoporosis going on during that time, isn't there? And actually, so the bones are getting weak, potentially getting weaker, and strength training, as you already alluded to, is probably one of the key factors that can really help keep that bone strength.
Yeah, absolutely. So you normally get a precursor of something like osteopenia prior to that, but again, doing like strength training is a really good thing to help. But then so's diet, so's sleep. So is hydration.
Going back to your 4 pillars.
So is posture. Mm-hmm. You're holding it now, aren't you?
We've got to the point now where we're just like, no.
When the podcast's over, you just go like,
slouch, round my shoulders again. So what kind of things could because obviously the problem, I suppose the difference between a full-time athlete and everybody else is they actually probably have the time to do a lot of these things well, in terms of, it's their job to keep fit and healthy. Whereas for everyone else like us, it's fitted in around, our job. And, we probably don't have the same kind of time and energy to be able to throw at it, balancing kids, balancing our sport, balancing your job, balancing being the taxi, all those kind of things. So it's obviously, I suppose the point I was getting to is a little bit harder probably for the average day cyclist or mountain biker to be able to keep themselves optimally fit and healthy because of the impacts on all of those little elements you talked about the hydration, about the kind of the sleep, and about the nutrition, because you're more time poor.
Sure.
So specifically on the strength kind of training, for those of us that are time poor, where would you focus your energy?
Good question. If you're time poor, I would say I get this a lot. Okay, I get this a lot where people are
all looking for the quick fixes.
And there isn't one. There just isn't a quick fix. But I get this a lot where people are very time poor, and they'll say to me, I can only do this, I can only do this, and it's like, okay, so you have a constraint in where how much you can work. I would say start with the smallest thing that you can, and just make that the habit. Once that's a habit, start the next thing, make that the habit. And honestly, just doing that actually snowballs into suddenly 6 months down the line, it's a very, very different habit and a very different lifestyle. And it's a very different person, because what they've done is changed how they feel and how they, their energy levels, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And if I was to push you and go on, if you were going to give people, they're time poor, they're into their mountain biking, they want to do something strength training wise, where would you start them?
I like your question, Gareth.
Yeah.
And I'm going to answer it.
Be specific. Stop being a politician.
The most important exercise you can possibly do is the squat. Bar none.
Go on, unpack that for us. Why?
Try doing anything where you don't squat.
Okay.
You have to sit down to get in your car, get out your car, go to the toilet, sit on the sofa.
Yeah.
It's a whole body exercise, and and it does pertain to being on the bike. There's a big carryover to being on the bike. I know a lot of people would say, oh yeah, but deadlift. And it's like, yeah, okay. But I honestly would say squat is the biggest thing.
Go on, break it down. What's the real difference between a squat and a deadlift in terms of the load then, in terms of
the way the spelling?
No. We could go down that route as well, but my spelling is not very good.
Not mine.
You'll win. But no, in terms of, because obviously they're very similar exercises, I guess, on kind of, as you're looking at them, but actually maybe then slightly different in terms of the muscles that they activate.
Biomechanically very different. So one of them is, like you say, deadlift is a hinge.
Yeah.
Squat is a squat.
Mm-hmm.
If you actually look at it, the very start of the exercise, and I call this a squatology. When people come in, they often do this with me, where we go through like a squatology course with clients, where I get them to squat spot on. Mm. First thing is they start doing a deadlift, and it's like, well, that's just a squat. Mm. So like an RDL, where you're hinging from the hips and 20 degrees in the knees, that's a deadlift. Yeah. That's a hinge pattern. Yeah. A squat needs to start at the knees, not the hips. And that's where most people I see go wrong. They start at the hips, and it's like, well, no, that's start the hinge pattern there. Yeah. So they're completely different.
But work very similar muscle groups, or slightly different muscle groups. They're concentrating. They're working obviously the legs, the glutes, the lower back a little, I suppose. But obviously to a lesser extent with deadlift or more specific potentially with the deadlift?
With deadlift, you're using, I personally would say using more glutes, hamstrings, and it targets those more.
Yeah.
In a squat, you're including a lot more quad regulation. Well,
Yeah.
what's the word I'm looking for? Gone blank. Activity.
Yes.
There you go.
Yeah. Activation.
Yeah.
Muscle activation.
Yeah.
Yeah,
definitely.
Okay.
But we could go down and more.
No.
One thing people could do then, just off the top of my head.
Yeah.
You boil your kettle in the morning for your coffee.
Oh,
you
this is great.
drink a cup of water and then you do 10 squats while it's boiling.
Yeah.
There you go.
And,
Good habit to start.
Cleaning your teeth, do the same.
Oh, squats while cleaning teeth.
Yeah.
I like it.
When you go down the stairs, drop down the stairs, do some
tricep dips.
dips.
All the way down.
Honestly,
I wonder what you're doing then. You just, and again, for everyone who's just listening to the podcast, all this doesn't. He's moving his arms, by the way.
It's a great dance move as well.
Yeah.
Sorry. Those kind of things, I think it's actually really beneficial. And I can't lie that I do exactly that. Oh, sorry. Like before I get into the shower, it's like, okay, the shower's warming up, quickly do a bunch of press ups. I can clean my teeth, I do a bunch of squats or like split squats or something like that. I think it's a really good way to get, it's no extra time, is it?
No. I guess I never looked at it that way. As always, you always kind of almost compartment. I was going to try and say compartmentalize stuff, but in terms of I'm going to go and train in the gym, so I go and train in the gym, and that's when I do my gym work. Actually, it's about including it into everyday activity, and that's probably actually as beneficial in terms of, particularly you're saying from a habit forming perspective, as it is as well about for fitting it into the time that you have.
Exactly, and I think just to leave the house, to get into the car, to drive to the gym, that's an effort in itself. To just stand in the same position you stood in and do like 20, 30, 40, 50 squats or whatever.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to go anywhere. It's there. It's free. Do it.
Yeah.
Stop being lazy.
And I suppose the other one I really wanted to touch on, it was the role of stretching and flexibility in terms of keeping fit and healthy, because we've already alluded to, as you talking earlier on, the postural thing. But also in terms of the fact that cycling and mountain biking is you are in a set position, aren't you? Yes. So obviously, and guessing it's different to some other sports which are probably a little bit more you're working through more planes of movement. So where does flexibility sit within this kind of you talked about hydration, and you talked about obviously kind of the sleep and the diet elements of it. So where does the kind of flexibility sit within that element as well?
It is big. It is very big. You should be doing it. I always say that if you're doing some kind of sport, you need to stretch. If you're not doing some kind of sport, you need to stretch.
Yeah.
So regardless, you need to stretch.
Yeah.
It depends how you want to do that. You can do it quite general. When you do it general, you get general results. If you're wanting the most out of it,
so what do you mean by that? When you do it by quite general, you get general results.
Okay. So for example, you could just click on YouTube, like I'm going to stretch like that, and just stretch around and feel good. I mean, look, regardless, it's probably going to be beneficial. But if you want to be specific and get the most out of it, then it's definitely worth being specific. And this is, again, why I do a lot of assessment with people, because sometimes stretching is actually the wrong thing to do. If a muscle is in a lengthened position and it's just hanging on like this, I'm talking about like the upper back, for example. I see that a lot. Why would you stretch that? And it's quite a common thing. People, my back. And they go and stretch, and it's like, you're just kind of making the problem worse.
Okay.
So, yeah, I think stretching is huge. Like it really is.
Okay.
It really is. But then honestly, if you're going to go, right, I'm going to focus on stretching, you best hydrate, because if you're dehydrated, it's going to be very difficult for you to increase your flexibility.
Okay.
Because if dehydration affects how the tissue functions, makes it very difficult for it to lengthen and remodel, I guess.
Okay.
Tell us, how much water should we be drinking a day?
All the water.
Just constantly water.
I mean, this is quite a good question, actually. No, it's not a very good question. So, for example, people say, 2 liters a day. There is a calculation. I think it's your body weight in kilograms times by 0.033. And that gives you the amount of fluid you should be drinking. But it doesn't take into consideration if someone's having 5 cups of coffee a day, they're going to be going to the toilet quite a bit. So you best hydrate more. They might have, for example, like boxed cereals for breakfast, like processed foods and stuff. If that's the case, hydrate more, because that's going to take hydration out of you. And you've got to flush out that like terrible diet as well. But then if you're having a diet that's like really, I eat a lot of fruit. I love fruit. I really do. But that yields a lot of water, and you can hydrate that way too. And the same with vegetables. It's, but if you're not having that in your diet, that's something else to consider. So
okay.
Like watermelon. I'm obsessed with watermelon at the moment. Do you like watermelon?
Love it. So satisfying.
Yeah, go and buy it.
It's never a question I've been directly asked before. Do you like watermelon?
Why have you never been asked that?
I don't know.
Do you like watermelon?
I'm immediately thinking of the last thing I think it must have been a YouTube clip or one of a little short I saw, and it was some kind of form of exploding watermelon, and that was it. They were using watermelon as a rugby ball.
Okay. Yeah, I love watermelon.
It was a form of strength training, I think it was. Like,
it?
was quite heavy, isn't it?
Yeah.
And they were using that to practice their passing, and then obviously it exploded at one point. Yeah. So hence the But,
I think it's 92% water.
Yeah.
So when people say, "I don't want to drink water, it's boring," which I get. You know, drink fizzy water. That's another way to do it. But
go on, why is that? Why fizzy water versus standard water?
Tickles your tongue.
I thought you're going to give us some like insight in hydration there. You get more hydrated through drinking fizzy water than you do through standard. I was like, I don't understand the science.
I actually, this is no word of a lie. I actually read a research paper. You get more hydrated eating watermelon.
Do you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I can't remember what they called it. It was electrolyte based hydration. I think that's right.
Yeah.
But
it's similar to the principle of, like, for example, those electrolyte style drinks to allow you to be able to absorb the water better, basically. Yeah. It's something in the watermelon, I'm assuming, the sodium content or something like that allows you to be able to retain water better.
Yeah, there's so many good things in there. It was like, I can't remember. Citrulline, I think, it helps with like blood flow, which then aids better performance, sports performance. So there you go. If you want to ride well, eat a watermelon. Every day.
That's going to be the top tip that's taken out of this. It's like, and then everyone's going to be coming in to pedal the bike away going, why is watermelon not on the menu? So I'm going to have to tell Jace now, summer menu, it's got to have watermelon on it.
Yeah, they just get rid of their bladders out their bag and put a watermelon in there with a tube.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, there you go. I'm not endorsed by watermelons or anything like that.
Brilliant. And you were touching on earlier that you kind of have worked a lot with worked with some World Cup riders.
Yeah.
You said you touched a little bit on how your approach differs with that kind of athlete, but can I go into a little bit more depth in terms of, they said that process in terms of the way that you'd work with a World Cup athlete versus the standard mountain bike rider that you'd probably get in through the doors on a more regular basis?
I'll be really honest, it's not really dissimilar. I still go through the same assessment protocols, etc., to find the same information. The difference is that if you have your average Joe that I suppose that it could be Joe or Joe, couldn't it? Yeah.
We've got a couple of them working for us. It's fine. Yeah. You can pick either one.
So you could, if you're average Joe, like if they start making changes, if they've never trained, if they've never really addressed anything like this to benefit their health, the gains they're going to get are going to be quite significant. When you're working with someone at an elite level, you have a ceiling, a genetic ceiling of how much you can improve. They're going to be right up here anyway. So the gains are very minimal. So you have to go like right down the rabbit warren to find where in their diet can I actually find those changes that are going to make that much difference. Where in their exercise program, is it like, do they need to do more? Is it more rest? And that's something that's completely underutilized, is rest.
Yeah,
such a biggie.
So go on, delve into that a little bit. We'll come back. So why is rest so important?
It's a really hard question to answer, because it's like, to me, it's logic. If you, put it this way, I'll give you an analogy for it. Okay, if you consider your physiology a bank account, like when you're using it, when you're training, when you're riding, etc., you're just drawing money out.
Yeah.
Okay. When you rest is when your wages go in. If you're not resting and your wages aren't going in, your money depletes, and then you go overdrawn, and that's when you get injured.
Yeah.
So you have to have rest in order for your training, if you're doing strength training, to actually take effect. Because every time we train, we have micro tears throughout the muscle. We damage ourselves, but that's how we rebuild and we remodel that muscle or whatever tissue that we're working on with or that's influenced. That's how it gets stronger. So rest is equally as important as training.
Yeah. That's good. So one of the things we used to tell our cyclists on the British program was always, if you're not cycling, you're laying down.
Yeah.
That's effectively it. Yeah. So you'd get these, and we didn't want them to walk anywhere around the hotels. Yeah. So he was like, you're not allowed to walk around the hotels. If you why walk when you can take, for example, the elevator? The lift. You got to take the lift if you can, rather than get steps in, because actually everything is then about recovery. It's training, and obviously then the recovery is where you're making the adaptation, isn't it? And the and improving as an athlete. So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
But I've seen it where people don't rest enough, and they overtrain, and when they get down, like let's say their physiological bank account is getting low, that's when they start to get, oh, hang on a minute, this is starting to hurt. Yeah. Eventually that ends up becoming an injury. If they don't step back and if they don't rest, it's really difficult for them to heal sometimes. Yeah. And I've seen it where people just won't heal, and it's like you have to step back from your training a little bit and start to heal.
So grab a watermelon, put a movie on, sit on the sofa and do nothing for a little bit.
Detectorists, if you can find, I love that program. I love detectorists. Yeah. So, I mean, think of it like this, like when you exercise, you stress your body. When you're stressed, that's a state of catabolism, okay? Tissue breakdown, which is normal, it's physiological. When you rest, that's a state of anabolism, tissue rebuild and regeneration. You have to have both. It's like that yin-yang symbol. Yeah. You have to balance them correctly in order to get the best out of your training.
Your training. Yeah.
I'm very handsy, aren't I?
You are very handsy.
I'm so scared of knocking the mic.
so delving back into that kind of World Cup ride of approach, where rest came up. So go on, keep kind of doing that deep dive in terms of what kind of how you'd actually get those. I suppose what you were talking about was those aggregation really of marginal gains.
Yeah.
We were going to Dave Railsford's, my old boss's speak was it's always about the small things. It's all finding all the 1%ers to be able to add up to the difference in terms of your performance. Yeah.
So, I mean, it's literally just a case of going really, really deep down the rabbit warren and how to best bolster your health. Yeah. That really is it, because that's the battery. That's the energy center of everything else that has to happen. And that can be lifestyle. It's how, it could be anything. It could be like dealing with psychological issues. I'm not a psychologist by any stretch. So if I see things that are problematic, it's refer them out. Yeah. Get someone professional to do it. But it is, I mean, I guess it's just literally going much, much deeper down the rabbit warren with it all, being very specific with it.
Cool.
Yeah. That helps. Have I answered that question?
No, you have. And it's just kind of like for us, is sometimes it's like, in this environment, we see cycling and mountain biking from one aspect as a hobby and a pastime now, but actually, obviously, there's obviously people out there that are looking for very different levels of performance or very different things from the mountain biking. So it's kind of it's really interesting sometimes to kind of hear about that kind of process, because I think there's a lessons that we can all learn from it as well. As you said, some of the things that they're doing are things that we should be doing equally as well, just to be able to stay fit, healthy, and be able to keep enjoying the sport that we love.
Absolutely. I mean, like I've already said, if you take the time to hydrate, if you take the time to get good quality sleep, if you stay on top of your exercise program, if you stay on top of your diet, all of those things have a big effect on your psyche. So I'm not saying you have to do anything with that. That's going to be affected by that. But all of those things affect your energy. All of those things affect your performance, your output, which changes how you train, the benefits you get from your training, how you ride, the benefits you get from that. If you get injured, how quickly you recover from that injury.
And how important is it in that to be able to understand kind of, I suppose, the type of rider that person is, or the type of riding that they enjoy, how does that kind of like impact on you, the way that you treat people? And I guess, do you see where I'm coming from with that in terms of, obviously everyone has kind of like, I suppose, different aims and aspirations of what they, or why they actually mountain bike. So how do you involve that into that kind of, I suppose, that injury rehabilitation?
So do you mean like what type of riding they do or why they do it?
Both the type of riding they do it and why they do it. I guess, how do, it's them as an individual rather than because obviously everyone's really different, aren't they? When the reasons that they're coming to you, yes, we might all be broken at that stage, but our motivations, I guess, are very different in terms of what we want from it.
I mean, definitely it's very important to understand what discipline. I mean, you can't train a BMXer the same as an enduro rider. It's not the same. It's a very different approach. With regards to why they do what they do and to what level. Yeah. I mean, it would be crazy for someone to come in and it's like, well, I only just like go around the family trail once every 3 or 4 weeks or something. Like, okay, well, here's 8 pages and you're going to just like, load them up with loads of stuff. Yeah. It has to be person specific. Person specific.
Yes. You know what? It's one of my bug words as well. I always say Pacific, and everyone's like, what? The ocean. I'm like, no, specific.
Caught me out there. So you can edit that out, can't you?
He's looking very blankless all there. He's like, no, I'm leaving it all. It's better. Yeah.
It's that good. Yeah. It has to be.
He's thinking about the recovery.
Yeah.
He's thinking about recovering. He's the time he's after this.
Didn't work.
No.
You have to be specific. I mean, there's a saying which is that the best program is a program a client will do. And so you have to understand how much they're going to want to do and how much where they want to be with that.
See, that was where I was getting to with it. It's brilliant. You hit the nail on the head then, because actually, you're, I suppose, rehabilitating from exercise. And I'm one of the worst for it. It's like, I know I should be doing this, but actually, I haven't got the time, I haven't got the energy, haven't got, so it's kind of factoring those things into about how you actually treat someone. And I'm great if you're doing it on me, that's fine. I could come along, you could do it. I'm there, I've given that time, haven't I? That bit's the easy part, I guess. It's the part when you're not with the the injury specialist, you're not with Adrian from Rise, that actually is the part that's harder. And I bet that must be also quite frustrating for you. It's like, did he do those exercises last week, Gareth? No.
No, you're
sorry,
perfect.
Adrian.
You're a model client.
I failed again.
No, I think you kind of have to feel your way a little bit, because so when people come in, I give them their exercises or rehab program, whatever. And I say, how'd you get on? It's like, it's really easy. And you can see if some people actually exceed that. Right, I can load you more. I can do something a bit more sexy with it. And some people, it's like, I did that one. It's like, right, okay, I need to pull back on this, and I need to make sure everything that I'm giving them is that's going to get the biggest bang for the buck. I think it's just a case of like analyzing your client. That's what I mean. It's every time it's always specific. I hate generality. I really do. Specificity all the way.
That's why Rebecca and I here go, give us some top 3 tips. Be really generic, Adrian, here. And you're like, no, I don't want to. Don't make me.
So, I think,
So
if I answered that.
No, you did. It's brilliant, actually. It's really interesting, because actually you said it's going to, obviously every client you treat is different, aren't they? So it's
every client.
And it's understanding how that kind of like that approach changes with the different clients that you're working with.
But that's why I love my job.
Exactly.
Because it's not run of the mill. Every single person is different. Every single person needs something new and unique, and it's a new challenge every time to solve that puzzle. And that's why I love it.
Well, we're fast coming towards the end of this podcast, and I want to kind of just go off piece a little bit here, and actually, what kind of now in the moment most excites you about mountain biking, or perhaps over the next 12 months, kind of really kind of go. I'm really excited about that development, or this or that in the industry as a whole, rather than injury rehabilitation as specific. So,
summer.
I was hoping you'd say that.
I don't know. I mean, like honestly, just like riding in the winter is great. riding in the summers.
When did you last ride?
Actually, yeah. But when I did last ride,
I do remember seeing you. I think it was about 6 weeks ago.
Yeah, no, I've ridden since then. Yeah, I rode at Bike Park Wales, and it was, actually very fortunate. I had a bit of a technical, and then it was like, gotta stop. Heaven's empty, and I'm like, whoo. What was the question again?
What kind of thing you're most looking forward to over the next kind of 12 months? And you've been way ahead, actually. Yeah, summer, dry. Well, hopefully some dry trails, wouldn't it? Well, that'd be lush. That's something that gives you that motivation to really want to get outside and ride.
Yeah, honestly, just the summer. I'm so over the winter now. It's been it's been 18 months of rain. Or something like that.
It definitely feels like it, doesn't it? It's massive. It's massive. Yeah.
I think the other thing is I'm getting excited because I'm looking at bikes again, and
see, you let me like to see. So, what bike do you currently ride, Adrian?
What do I ride?
Yeah,
I ride Mondraker Super Foxy and the Crafty.
Oh, very nice.
Very sexy.
Yeah. And what are you looking at? What's tempting you away from the Mondrakers?
Actually, white.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm tempted. I was meant to come up actually demo one, but life got in the way. I had to do my exercises.
You were doing your rehabilitation and your stretching and your posture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That could be quite
e-bike
nice.
or pedal bike?
Oh, e-bike.
Yeah?
Yeah, and it's not cheating. I heard what you said. No, definitely e-bike. I have way more fun on an e-bike.
Yeah.
It's so versatile.
Yeah, go into that for us. It's like why do e-bikes really do it for you over kind of the pedal bikes at the moment?
I'm a busy guy, Gareth. So I can I can go out and I can get like 5 laps in an hour or something like that.
Yeah.
And just being able to do that is just amazing. But then if I've got more time, it's like, okay, don't ride in turbo all the time. You can really push yourself on them. You can just push yourself really hard. Like I think it was Sam actually.
Yeah.
We were going up by Barnhill.
Yeah.
And he's like, want to race to the top? Like, yeah. And we raced to the top. My eyes nearly fell out. Like my heart was pounding so hard. So, it's not cheating. It's definitely not cheating. It's a lot more weight of bike to move around on the trail.
Touch on that as well, as actually, because we touched on, you were talking about strength training earlier. Yeah. And actually, it's, and we talked about obviously differences between training different types of people.
Yeah.
But obviously the weight of the e-bike must play, and actually it's almost, I hate to say this, but it's almost like a slightly different sport, isn't it? Because obviously it's going to put different loads on you.
Absolutely. And I know when I went and got my first e-bike, which I still have actually, the difference was huge. Like riding down steep stuff, I came away like, wow, my shoulders were just like ruined.
Yeah.
So I had to do a lot more work there to strengthen them up. It's very different. So it's not cheat.
I love the fact that people still feel like they have to say that, because that's the sad part about it. Actually,
they're just scared to try an e-bike.
I was going to name plug Mark Bullen there. You listening, Mark? There you go. Adrian said, "Ride a e-bike." Sorry, we digress. We're talking about kind of myths that you'd like to unbunk as well. Is there kind of like any real kind of ones out there around kind of your training or injuries in mountain biking that kind of like you'd like to kind of like go, actually it's bullshit?
You're going to open the box here, aren't you?
No, it's just, I thought it was great. It's like, is there those burning ones that people come in and you hear time and time again, and it's like, I should do this, I should do that, and and you're like, no, actually, you shouldn't.
What swear words am I allowed to say?
Once you aren't, we can beep out.
Okay. I tell you, I got to be honest. One of my biggest bugbearers is the clickbait stuff on YouTube. That drives me insane when people are saying, resolve your back pain with just this exercise or just this stretch, and it's like, wow.
You know what? The worst bit is I'm probably taken in by it as well. I remember seeing one actually, it was only last week, and it was like, you can sort your shoulder out by just doing this one simple stretch. And I was like, wicked!
Yeah. It's just not true. I mean, I see so much of that, and I don't want to call people out. I wouldn't call people out. I've seen quite a prominent like cycling exercise app that's basically saying this one
called what?
cycling app. No, I don't know what it's called.
I'm taking a break. Don't.
No, I actually genuinely don't know what it's called. But
Yeah.
they're saying like, resolve your back pain just by stretching this. This one muscle is involved in like majority of back pain, and it's like, I get it, but it's so general, and that annoys me because it's just not true.
Yeah.
I looked at it and it's like, well, you got 5 portions of that muscle. You also have a superior, inferior, medial, lateral, superior. Like,
Yeah.
what part's tight?
Yeah.
What part is dysfunctional and why? Where does that work to? Are you working on the rest of it? And so that's what bothers me. Those are the kind of myths. It's like, don't just, when you see stuff like that, and when you see the clickbait of this one exercise and you'll be able to ride Red Bull.
Yeah.
Not that I've seen that, but that kind of
That's the new Rise one next week, isn't it?
How did you know?
Like and subscribe, follow our channel.
But yeah, those kind of things, I don't like that. That really bugs me.
So if it sounds too good to be true, it normally is.
Yeah, I think honestly, just look at it logically. It's like, to think, does that really make sense? Try it. I mean, actually saying that, I say try it, because if it works, more power to you.
Fantastic. So to really kind of wrap things up, where can more people find out more things about Rise and what you do? Where's the best place to send them?
I guess the best place is on the website. I have a website online, which is www.risemtbperformancecoaching.co.uk.
He's looking at us and like,
I've got a video of me online somewhere trying to say my email address. It took me like 10 times. It's so bad. But anyway, there's Instagram as well, Facebook page too. So yeah.
Where are you based in the Forest of Dean, the lovely Forest of Dean?
Yeah, in this wonderful bike park we live in. it is though, isn't it? Let's face it. We open the door and we're literally living in a bike park, and it's an amazing community here of people and companies, and it's just awesome. I love it.
Fantastic.
I love it. But yeah, I'm in Lydbrook, just down the road.
Fantastic. No, again, and actually, you can combine your ride here with a visit to go and get fixed afterwards.
This is true.
Yeah.
Actually, a lot of people do. A lot of people drive quite a way.
Yeah.
And they come up and it's like, should I ride first or afterwards? And it's like, oh, okay.
What is the answer?
It depends on what they're doing. Sometimes it's like, actually, ride first.
Ride first.
Yeah.
I was assuming it would be ride first, because actually ride first, particularly if you're actually going in to do some stretching or things like that, probably the body's a little bit warmer. Also, obviously, kind of it's like
if it's training. If it's training, train first, and then you kind of ruined for your ride then.
Yeah.
But if it's coming in for a treatment, there's no point getting a treatment and going out and then wasting all your money because you've just undone it all.
Brilliant. Well, thanks you so much, Adrian,
Thank you,
for your
guys.
time.
Thank you.
I really appreciate this.
It's amazing having you on the pedal pod for episode 5. So if you've enjoyed this episode, then make sure you subscribe, share it with others, like, and all that kind of stuff. We can all sound. And don't forget your posture.
Yeah. High fives.
Cheers, guys.
Thank you.